Hello and welcome to TTV News with some latest events in Taynan province. Ladies and gentlemen, on the afternoon of April 30, at the Mokbai International Border Gate in Taynan province, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Bùi Thanh Sơn, along with provincial leaders of Taynin, have a farewell ceremony for the high-level delegations of the Kingdom of Cambodia. The delegation was led by Samdech Hun Sen, President of the Cambodian People's Party and President of the Senate of the Kingdom of Cambodia, who has come to attend the events commemorating the 50th anniversary of the liberations of the South and national reunification, April 30, 1975, April 30, 2025.
On behalf of the government and the peoples of Vietnam, Deputy Prime Minister Bùi Thanh Sơn expressed the sincere gratitude to President Hun Sen and the high-level Cambodian delegation for attending the 50th anniversary celebrations of Vietnam's Liberation Day and for the participation of Cambodia military forces in the parade. Their presence significantly contributed to strengthening and deepening the traditional friendship and solidarity between the two nations.
The 5th Division recently held a ceremony to present 40 gift packages from the Central Military Commission in the Ministry of National Defense. Each package worth 1.2 million Vietnam dong was given to 40 officers, professional soldiers, non-commissioned officers, and enlisted personnel who are facing particularly difficult circumstances such as suffering from serious illnesses, prolonged hospitalization, or whose families have been severely affected by natural disaster or fires. These gifts serve as encouragement for the recipients to continue striving, overcoming hardship, staying committed to their duties, and always completing every assigned task with excellence.
And on occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and the national reunification, April 30th, the local authorities of Bao Nang and Lộc Ninh communes of Yum Chau district, in coordination with Tam Lang Tea Company Limited, organized services and gave giving activities for the Herrick Vietnamese mothers in the area. The delegation visited the Herrick Vietnamese mother Lê Thị Mia residing in Bao Nang Commune and Herrick Vietnamese mother Phạm Thị Ánh residing in Lộc Ninh Commune. At this stop, the delegation members warmly inquired about the mother's health and living conditions, and they also presented meaningful gifts and expressed their gratitude and appreciation from today's generations for the silent sacrifice of the Herrick Vietnamese mothers in the course of national construction and defense.
The audience, the Liberation Days of the South and National Reunification, is also the day marking the liberation of Taynan province. This is one of the most significant victories of its party committee, army forces, and people in the resistance wars against the U.S. to serve the nation. This victory stands as strong evidence of the reactive and flexible leadership and directions of Taynan Provincial Party Committee, the decisive factor behind all revolutionary triumphs.
During the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign, Taynan was assigned to key tasks by the Military Commission and the command of the Southern region. Taynan had to liberate its own locality by itself. It had to organize continuous attacks against the enemy to pin down the 25th Division, the 81st Airborne Commando Group, and other local enemy forces, preventing them from retreating to Saigon, thereby facilitating the main forces of our army to advance and liberate Saigon. Accordingly, the Taynan Provincial Party Committee set for the guideline. Each commune must liberate itself. Each district must liberate itself. Enemy forces must not be allowed to retreat from one area to fortify another. The people were mobilized to encourage their children to join the armed forces. As soon as the Ho Chi Minh campaign began at 5 p.m. on April 26, 1975, with high determination to liberate their homeland, the military and civilians across the province launched simultaneous offensives and uprisings, successfully liberating the districts. In TayNinhTV, precisely at 11 a.m. on April 30, 1975, Colonel and Provincial Chief Bùi Đức Tài announced his surrender and ordered on local forces to lay down their arms and surrender to the Revolutionary Army. TayNinhTV was then fully taken over. TayNinh Provincial Party Committee during the war was a highly intelligent, seasoned, courageous, and strategic leadership collective, always standing side by side with TayNinh Armed Forces. One member of the Standing Committee served as the political commissioner of TayNinh Armed Forces and the provincial party secretaries from before 1960 to later on closely followed the armed forces and endured hardships together in Cambodia. That's why the Standing Committee of TayNinh Party Committee was a team of intellect and bravery that led TayNinh Armed Forces to victory. Through the maximized strength of a comprehensive approach in the final strategic battle, the armed forces and people of TayNinh liberated the entire province and significantly contributed to the liberation of Saigon, the enemy's final stronghold, successfully completing their assigned mission and concluding the nation's nearly 21-year-long resistance against American imperialism. TayNinh Party Committee led the resistance war against the U.S. and made significant contributions along with the leadership of the Central Office for the South Vietnam in guiding the army and people across the country in the South and in TayNinh to the victory of the spring 1975 campaign, bringing the nation to full independence and into a new era of national development. April 30, 1975 forever entered the history of revolutionary struggle and resistance of TayNinh Party Committee, people and armed forces. From that point forward, under the party's leadership and by fully promoting the spirit, will and strength of its people, TayNinh joined the rest of the country in entering a new era of development, the era of Vietnam's national resurgence.
Turn to other news. The audience in the first quarter of 2025, the leadership of the TayNinh Provincial People Committee, along with heads of various levels and sectors, actually directed and implemented comprehensive and decisive solutions in administrative reform. As a result, significant progress has been made, receiving positive recognition and appreciation from both business and citizens.
With a strong determination and effort, TayNinh Provincial People's Committee led and instructed provincial departments and district level people's committees to carry out their assigned tasks according to the plan. As of now, 13 of the 44 tasks have been completed, nearly 30% of the total, and meeting the schedule requirements. Overall, the province administrative reform has been carried out with a comprehensive, determined, scientific, and disciplined manner with a clear focus, direction, and a well-defined roadmap. This has led to noticeable improvements in the restructuring of the administrative apparatus.
Farmers growing durian in TayNinh Province are currently entering the harvest season. The province has issued area codes for 40 durian farming zones intended for export. In this year's harvest season, there is one packing facility and 40 durian growing zones in the fruit-bearing stage that have been granted area codes covering more than 1,000 hectares. Of these, 7 zones covering nearly 230 hectares have been officially approved by China's General Administration of Customs for formal export. The remaining 30 zones are awaiting approval. To ensure the quality of durian for both domestic consumption and export, the Provincial People's Committee has requested the Department of Agriculture and Environment to continue guiding farmers on the use of fertilizers, pesticides, and preservatives listed as permitted for use in Vietnam, prioritizing those of herbal or biological origin, and to strictly follow re-harvest intervals. Additionally, the province will continue developing and issuing area codes for growing zones and packing facilities, submitting them to the Plant Protection Department for approval. Periodic and unscheduled inspections will also be strengthened at coded farming zones and packing facilities.
In response to the increasing demand for the healthcare services among the residents and tourists, the Taynin health sector is actively developing a medical tourism model, and it is considered a strategic move that leverages the province's medical expertise and existing healthcare infrastructure, contributing to the sustainable development of the local tourism industry. Amidst the rapid growth of the tourism sector, the Regional Health Department has introduced the new strategic directions to seize this opportunity. And with the strength in specialized medical institutions such as the Traditional Medicine Hospital and the Rehabilitation Hospital, TayNinh's health sector is developing advanced healthcare services that combine the medical examination and treatment, therapy, and relaxation also. In the coming period, the province will continue to invest in the medical infrastructure, improve professional skills, and collaborate with the tourism industry to create a comprehensive medical tourism ecosystem. And it is seen as a crucial foundation for establishing Taynin as a new destination for health-focused tourism in the southern of Vietnam.
Dear audience, during the resistance wars against the United States, Taynin proudly served as the base of central office for the South Vietnam, the strategist headquarters that directly led and guided the revolutionary movement around the South to final victory and national reunification on April 30, 1975. 50 years after liberation, under the leadership of the party and the state, and with the continued efforts of the Provincial Party Committee, government, and people, Taynin had risen and achieved remarkable accomplishments, advancing alongside the country development. The vibrant image of blast and fire lining the streets during the History Day of April reflects of historic spirit and national pride.
50 years after liberation and nearly 40 years of implementing the party's renovation policies, the party committee, government, armed forces, and people of Taynin have constantly strived and achieved significant results across many fields. From being a backward agricultural province lacking food, with severely damaged infrastructure and a population living in hardship after liberation, Taynin has transformed into a dynamic economy. The province has restructured its economy toward industrialization and modernization. Economic growth has consistently remained high compared to the region and above the national average. Taynin ranks among the top provinces in attracting domestic and foreign investment. We are referring and assessing local strength to focus on development, especially industrial zones and clusters. We must revise and supplement industrial planning to ensure sustainable development. It's vital to fully exploit the province's border economic zones. Currently, the province is working closely with central ministry and agencies to submit proposals to the government and the Politburo for special development policies in these zones. These are key to attracting strategic investors to develop our border economic zones. Infrastructure development has been prioritized, and the transportation system is gradually being improved for better connectivity. Both urban and rural areas are seeing visible changes. The city has been recognized as a greater urban area, while Trang Bang and Hoa Thanh Towns have been recognized as rural. The province has effectively tapped into its tourism potential, notably by developing Baden Mountain National Tourist Area to international standards. This site has become one of the most attractive destinations in the country, creating a ripple effect and significantly contributing to local socio-economic development. Alongside economic growth, Taynin's cultural and social development has also seen positive changes. Programs to honor and support policy beneficiaries, families of contributors to the revolution, the poor, needy, and those in difficult circumstances have been given serious attention. Poverty reduction is one of Taynin's major accomplishments over the past 50 years. The province consistently ranks among those with the lowest poverty rates in the country, aiming to eliminate poverty entirely based on central government standards by the end of this year. At the ceremony commemorating the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and the unification of the country, and the 50th anniversary of the liberation, the first-class labor order awarded by the President to the Party Committee, Government and People of TayNinhTV is a well-deserved recognition of the province's efforts over the past 50 years. The immortal spirit of the historic April 30, 1975 victory continues to inspire and ignite the aspirations of every TayNinhTV party member and citizen to unite, contribute and propel the province forward in integration and development, confidently joining the nation in stepping into a new era, the era of Vietnam's resurgence. Representatives from the Vietnam Federal Language Committee of TayNinhTV Province, the Provincial Committee for Religious and Ethnic Affairs, and leaders of U Minh Châu District recently organized a delegation to visit and present gifts to the Mon ethnic community in Suy Cha Kham Miu, U Minh Châu District on the occasion of their traditional New Year 2025. Every year, around mid-March in the lunar calendar, the local Tamil people celebrate their traditional New Year according to their unique customs and traditions, praying for favorable weather, peace, and happiness for all families. In recent years, thanks to support and investment from National Target Program, the living standards of local residents have improved significantly and the rural landscape has seen notable changes. The Mon community has also actively participated in patriotic emulation movements and local campaigns, contributing to building a vibrant cultural life in residential areas.
The Immigration Management Divisions of TayNinhTV Provincial Police, in coordination with Long Thuận Kham Miu Police, Bến Cầu District, had just caught suspect Ngô Quang Trường, born in 2002 and residing locally, in the act of organizing illegally entry into Vietnam for the 3 individuals from Cambodia.
During the initial investigation, John confessed to conspiring with Cambodian nationals to illegally bring people into Vietnam from Cambodia, tracking to report 3 million Vietnam dong per person. John was apprehended by authorities just after escorting 3 individuals across the border illegally. Based on collected evidence, on April 29, TayNinhTV Provincial Police Department of Security Investigation issued a decision to prosecute the case and formally charge Ngô Quang Trường for the crime of organizing illegal exit and entry for others. The case is currently under further investigation to ensure strict legal handling.
Ladies and gentlemen, though the world has long passed, the memories of a heroic era of fight and sacrifice remain vivid in the minds of Miss Úc Ngác, a female commander from Trảng Bàng, who judged the revolutions and endured imprisonment.
Born in Trảng Bàng, a land steeped with revolutionary tradition, Miss Phan Thị Úc, commonly known as Úc Ngác, born in 1945 and joined the revolutionary movement at a young age, and at 15 or 16, she attended a class held in the Rum Forest alongside many others, and that marked the beginning of her revolutionary path. At 4 p.m., the comrades gathered, and there were many of them, and they proposed admitting me into the party with our probation period. I was admitted right on the battlefield on June the 20th of 1966, and I will never forget it. I was so happy. First, we had just assassinated Bang, very satisfying, and then I was admitted to the party with our probation period. And no one else in Trảng Bàng had that honor before. That day I will never forget. In 1971, he was assigned to operate in Hoa Thanh area, now the Hoa Thanh town. And there, in October of 1972, after days of surveillance, Úc Ngác and her team planted the explosives and successfully assassinated Lieutenant General Nguyễn Văn Thành, a CIA backed officer assigned to the Cao Đài House as the chief political inspector, responsible for controlling and terrorizing the local Cao Đài followers. Less than a month later, Upngek was captured and exiled to Gondao prison. At that time, she was nearly 3 months pregnant, and despite the brutal torture and inhuman beatings, she remained loyal and unyielding to the party. And after giving birth, she was transferred to Thulic prison. The hardships, pain, and deprivation she endured in prison are beyond the description. And following the signing of the Paris Peace Accords and the withdrawal of the U.S. forces from the south of Vietnam, her death sentence was lifted. And however, it wasn't until the liberation of the South and the national unification that she and her daughter were fully freed. We went outside and saw the liberation convoy. I ran to them. Oh my, I was overwhelmed with the joy. No words can describe it. We ran past the Independence Palace, and just as the tank rolled in, we arrived there. That night, we stayed at Phú Nhuận Market because it was already dark and we couldn't make it back. The next morning, they organized transport for us to return home. More than half a century has passed, and yet the story of Missy Upngek remains a powerful source of inspiration and nurturing patriotism in today's and future generations. It reminds us to cherish the priceless values of peace and independence, the values that were won through blood and sacrifice.
And that's all for TTV News. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye for now.